The python thought that in front of him was an ordinary rodent that would easily become prey. Fatal error. The porcupine masterfully wields needles as a real weapon. There are several species of animals that, with small sizes, have such trump cards that will unpleasantly surprise even the most formidable predators. Squirrels have a reputation for being cute and innocent animals. Their fast jumps, timid nature, and fluffy tails made them a good image of good-natured and cuties. Here it is, effective PR in action. It must have affected the snakes as well. This venomous reptile thought it was going to have a delicious snack. Big mistake. The squirrel doesn't even try to escape. On the contrary, she goes on the attack herself. A cobra can take down a horse with one bite, but a squirrel turns out to be too agile and dexterous. Not a single throw hits the target. The snake already takes a defensive position in a panic, opens the collar, but the squirrel doesn't care. She attacks again and again as lightning rushes from side to side. This is not a unique case. It turns out that squirrels are great fighters. They avoid fights, but if they are angered, then even larger predators will only have to run. These rodents prefer nuts, fruits, and vegetable food, but on occasion they will gladly snack on a poisonous snake. Squirrels have no immunity from the poison of these reptiles, only agility, lightning-fast reaction, and courage, which would be enough for several lions. So don't joke with that squirrel when you feed her nuts. The tactics of squirrels are very unusual. They can either attack from the flanks to confuse less agile opponents, or use their tail. No, they don't hit the snake with it, but they distract them. The tail rises above the squirrel's back, the snake reacts to it and tries to bite, but its teeth slip off the fluffy fur. Meanwhile, the sharp teeth of the squirrel, which easily cope with the hard shell of nuts, are already getting to the scales of the enemy. A porcupine is a small, well-fed animal the size of a dog, with short paws and a cute muzzle. But experienced predators try to avoid this. The reason is simple. Porcupine quills are practically an ultimate weapon against most predators. The fact is that they have a slightly jagged structure, so they do not just hit the enemy with painful injections, but get stuck in their flesh. In addition, the needles are very quickly and easily detached from the porcupine itself. Therefore, most often, a skirmish, a lot of needles remain in the predator's body. And that's when the most unpleasant thing happens: inflammation. In a warm and humid climate, an infection penetrates into the wound, which very quickly causes blood poisoning, tissue death. And such a wound hurts very much. No matter how tough a lion is, he has no grasping fingers, no antiseptics, no antibiotics. Therefore, an ordinary rodent, we can say an overgrown rat, is able to deal with an adult lion, which scatters a gang of hyenas and knocks down buffaloes. In addition, the porcupine is well aware of the capabilities of his weapons and uses it masterfully. He just seems cute. If the porcupine feels threatened, he will attack the enemy itself. And it looks funny from the outside. The porcupine walks with its back to the leopard, moves sideways, and tries to catch the enemy with the tips of his needles. But the leopard is not funny. The porcupine is able to come close with a powerful jerk and force the needles to dig deeper into the predator's flesh, and then move away with a light movement, leaving the needles there. The rodent acts so nimbly that it caused the myth that it shoots needles from a distance. This, of course, is not the case, but who knows where evolution will lead him. At the same time, porcupine needles, contrary to another myth, are not poisonous. These are ordinary modified hairs, just longer, harder, and tougher. But thanks to their flexibility, it is almost impossible to remove needles with their paws. And besides the threat of infection and pain, the needle will also interfere with movement. A terrible weapon. Thanks to this, it is much more difficult to cope with a porcupine than it seems at first glance. So give this porcupine a like. It definitely deserves it with its bravery and fighting skills. The alligator is very young, and the jaguar has the advantage in strength, but the reptile knows judo. Look at that throw over his shoulder. Definitely a black belt. The jaguar literally flies into the water. Usually, a sloth is an easy prey. He of course stinks, but he is not able to provide decent resistance because of his legendary slowness. Therefore, huge harpy eagles are very fond of hunting these animals. The birds literally brush the sloths out of the branches and take them to their nests for lunch. For them, sloths are an easy prey in 99% of cases. But this sloth is the exception. He turned out to be a tough nut to crack. The harpy is shocked herself, but she didn't know who she was messing with. Not only that, but the sloth somehow miraculously escaped the blow. So he also fights off the bird when it landed on the branches to deal with the prey in close combat. As a result, the harpy has to retreat. Like this anaconda. Sloths try not to leave the trees and reluctantly go down to the ground. For them, moving on the ground is so much more stressful that this beast just doesn't care about the anaconda. He literally steps on it to get to the right tree. Maybe the sloth's impudence scares the snake, or maybe it was just full, but the animal successfully trampled on the anaconda and got to the right tree it needed. Why do you think the anaconda didn't attack? Let us know in the comments. The main advantage of the impala is speed. It is really impressive. Like the maneuverability of a hoofed animal, it is instantly able to change its direction of running and dodge the claws of the lioness at the last second. Fast as a bullet, the impala passes the predator by itself and runs away, leaving the enemy to swallow its dust. This ungulate does not have enough strength to resist predators like leopards and hyenas. Therefore, if you have already been caught, then most likely the impala will become lunch. But here the hyena clearly underestimated its enemy. She caught the impala and was ready to take it with her fangs, but was distracted by the cheetah. Suddenly, the impala jumps up and runs away. It turns out that she was alive the whole time. It just had enough composure to deceive the hyena and take advantage of the only chance for salvation. That's how cunning sometimes saves in cases where brute force is not enough. And an impala also knows how to use someone else's competition for its own good. A group of animals at a watering hole was scared off by a leopard. The cunning predator appeared so unexpectedly that it surprised one of the impalas, which was at a depth of. It didn't have time to escape. The young leopard's fangs closed in on its throat, and suddenly a hyena appeared. It was more massive than a very young spotted hunter, so she was able to drive away the competitor. But the impala was alive and jumped to her feet at the moment when the hyena's fangs were as far away from her body as possible. As a result, the hoof managed to escape from a seemingly hopeless situation. It is worth paying tribute to the impala's endurance. She doesn't try to pull away when the hyena was looking at her, and jumped up only when the opponent lost concentration. Usually zebras are not distinguished by a craving for mutual assistance. If predators attack, then each striped horse will be fending for itself. But sometimes there are exceptions. This zebra is one of them. Suddenly, she went on the attack on the lioness and right in front of the safari group and beat off a fellow predator. For the lioness, this was a shock. She clearly got involved with the wrong ungulates, which she used to hunt. The zebra successfully pushed the lioness away, after which it delivered such a powerful blow to its muzzle with its hooves that the sound could be heard even a few feet away. Although the failed victim was already quite a large individual, it was probably a teenager, and the protective zebra was its mother. However, sometimes a zebra can stand on its own against a lioness. Just look at the stubbornness and power with which the ungulate fights off the predator and shakes it off its neck. Amazing strength, which the lioness clearly did not expect. She holds on tightly with her curved claws, reaches for the throat of the prey, and does not give up until the last minute. But the zebra breaks out of her grip and runs away. Sometimes the unexpected boldness of small animals can look charming. For example, this goose that confronts angry bulls. Isn't it cute? The bird is simply unshakable. They are trying to intimidate her, push her away, trample her. But she herself goes into battle, although she is 100 times smaller than her enemy. Even the numerical advantage does not frighten her. About brave people, they say brave as a lion. But about the most fearless, you should be probably saying brave as a goose.